Intriguing testimony at a human trafficking trial. A Saskatchewan MLA takes the stand. Sask sees more customers cut the cord. How the Crown Corporation is dealing with dwindling income. And rising water levels. Will more flow on the South Saskatchewan see a return of the prairie lily?
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight in Rosetown, where a Saskatchewan MLA took the stand in a human trafficking trial. Hallie Mandrick now on what he says the alleged victim told him about her employment conditions and work status.
The trial of two men accused of human trafficking continues in a Rosetown courtroom within Elks Hall. And Saskatchewan MLA Doug Steele took the stand to share how he came into contact with the alleged victim. The Cypress Hills MLA told the court that he first met the Bangladeshi woman, whose name is protected under a publication ban, when she waited on his table at the Empire Diner in Gull Lake. Court heard in earlier testimony that this diner is one of 3 restaurants which the woman was promised employment at, in addition to living accommodations. The woman previously testified that her personal documents and wages were taken by her employers, and she experienced abuse and blackmail at the hands of Mohammed Musam and Sohail Haider in a dirty basement. Each man is facing human trafficking charges. Musam is also facing 3 charges of sexual assault. Steele testified to providing the woman with his business card and receiving a call in which she seemed distraught and was, quote, not feeling very comfortable at her workplace. He then organized to have her transported from a house in Elrose to a women's shelter in Swift Current. The defense questioned Steele regarding why he deleted records of his communication with the woman and why he didn't formally record the issue through his office. Steele testified to only communicating with the woman through phone calls and text messages and did not recall any communication with her through social media platforms. However, after the defense presented the MLA with records of him corresponding with her through Facebook, he agreed that the evidence was accurate. The trial is set to pick back up on Thursday afternoon with the continuation of cross-examination. Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Rosetown.
The hits keep on coming for Sask. The Crown Corporation is seeing more financial challenges as a unique player in a competitive and closely regulated industry. Keenan Sorokon has more.
Sask is reporting its 5th year of shrinking net income as a combination of regulation, competition, and cord cutting dig into its revenue streams.
We do compete in a very, very hot telecommunications marketplace in our province.
Sask reported a net income of just over $82 million at the end of the fiscal year, down more than $13 million compared to last year and nearly $50 million since 2021. Cord cutting continues to be a concern, losing more than 17,000 customers, mostly from landline phones. As that revenue shrinks, the company continues to look at new ways to offer traditional services, as it's legally required to do.
That day's coming. It's not around the corner, but it's coming down the pike eventually.
Sasktel also has its share of disagreements with federal regulator, the CRTC. Unlike other telecom giants, Sasktel only has so many customers to draw upon and serves remote communities. It argues decisions like last year's ruling to allow other companies to use their fiber optic networks to offer internet services further hurts profitability.
We disagree with having to open up perhaps our network to competition at rates we don't set. So those are the kinds of things that happen in that environment.
Minister Jeremy Harrison says Sasktel also operates in areas other companies wouldn't.
Like rural fiber rollout, which frankly wouldn't have been made if this were a private company who would just not be able to justify the long-term return on investment.
New technologies like Starlink also bite into the rural market. Despite these concerns of changing regulations, changing technology, and stiff competition, Sasktel says it's here and poised to compete. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The provincial government and Saskatchewan NDP are at odds over government procurement practices. The government claims that 90% of contracts go to Saskatchewan companies. The NDP has reviewed the list and found that a number of those companies are headquartered out of the province. Wayne Mantika has more.
Simply bogus.
The NDP opposition has obtained Sask Build contract data through a Freedom of Information request.
Of the 666 contracts awarded in 24-25, only 51% went to companies actually headquartered in Saskatchewan, and only 58% of those contract dollars flowed through to true Saskatchewan-based businesses.
Earlier this year, the government claimed that 90% of contracts go to Saskatchewan companies. The province defines a Saskatchewan company as one having a permanent place of business in the province, employing Saskatchewan people and registered in the province. The NDP think it should be based on where the company is headquartered.
Combined with today's revelations, it's evident. This is a government that was never serious about supporting Saskatchewan workers and businesses. In fact, it betrayed them. This policy was bogus. It was for show.
The government says that under the NDP definition, companies like Everest Steel would not be considered Saskatchewan firms. It employs hundreds of workers at its Regina plant, but is headquartered in Chicago. The NDP say it considers Everest to be a Saskatchewan firm and that some companies need to be assessed on a case-by-case basis. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
With water levels expected to rise significantly this week because of recent heavy rainfall, the Water Security Agency is warning residents in the province to be cautious around the South Saskatchewan River. But as Carla Shinkerick tells us, even with those increased amounts, Saskatoon's riverboat doesn't expect to be sailing anymore this season.
The water, look out there.
Well, the Saskatchewan Water Security Agency boasts of high water levels this week thanks to recent and upcoming rainfall here and in Alberta. That good news doesn't apply to Saskatoon's portion of the river, according to the owners of the Prairie Lily Riverboat, who say they're grounded for the season.
Even though it's been getting worse year after year after year, we've always been able to find a channel using our technology and experience. But now it's finally silted up to the point where there is no channel anymore.
The WSA announced Monday they expect to see flows along the South Saskatchewan River increase from 100 cubic meters per second to around 830. Those peak flows are expected to occur around June 26th. But they say in Saskatoon we will see outflows increase a lot less than that, from the current rate of 65 cubic meters per second to 75. The deckhands are canceling sailing for the season, saying they're calling anyone who has bookings to arrange options or a refund.
We'll be contacting them. We'd ask them, please don't contact us. It's a zoo. We have an awful lot of tickets sold.
So to try to keep their business afloat, the deckhands actually won't be leaving this dock, and they're counting on customers to show their support and still come on board.
We're hoping that with the alongsides, dinners, brunches, and so on, we're hoping that that will generate enough revenue that we can keep our staff. And that's it.
The current flow plan doesn't indicate enough water will be released to satisfy the deckhands' requirement to reduce sandbars.
Unsilting, a cleansing flush for this river system simply is, I don't think it ever occurred to them, and if it did, it's at the bottom of their priority list.
So in this, their final season as owners of the ship, they're being realistic, but admit they aren't ruling out a miracle from Mother Nature. Carla Shinkerick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
480 Sask power poles were damaged in this year's wildfires, with the most significant damage in the Creighton area with 287 damages. 114 poles were damaged by LaRange and 80 near Candle Lake. Sask Power told CTV that 140 of the damaged poles have been replaced as an emergency response to restore power and make the system safe to operate. The remainder are undergoing testing to ensure their integrity and to see if replacements are needed. A Sask Power spokesperson says some of the poles were burned right through the middle.
We had crews all over the north. Again, every Crown Corporation, firefighters from SPSA, aid agencies, all working in concert to do two things. A, to keep people safe, fight those fires, and protect property.
In the 2025 fires, Sask Power replaced 40 poles, making this year the most destructive wildfire season in memory for the corporation. As of 4 o'clock this afternoon, 19 active wildfires are burning in Saskatchewan, 5 not contained. Well, Jeff, the rain that is coming will likely be welcome relief for the firefighting effort.
Exactly, and that's what we're hoping for. You know, the much of the rain that we received over the weekend didn't really migrate that far north, and is certainly not in the plentiful amounts we had in central and southern Saskatchewan. So we are hoping for greater rainfall in those areas affected by wildfire. But right now, really, you know, compared to 24 hours ago, they're really quite a quiet situation across Saskatchewan right now. Really not a lot of active weather. That is going to change in the coming days, particularly as we head into Thursday and Friday. We'll have more on that later on.
A Saskatoon man who killed his roommate was back in front of a judge today, one step closer to learning how long he'll spend behind bars. And as CTV's Laura Woodward reports, the Crown and defense are deeply divided over what justice should look like.
This was the scene in January 2023. 35-year-old Stephen Pohl was found dead inside his Idlewild Drive North home. His roommate, Nader Butter, has pleaded guilty to manslaughter. According to an agreed statement of facts, Butter killed Pohl with a hammer after a night of heavy drinking and magic mushrooms. The Crown is seeking an 11-year prison sentence, factoring in credit for time Butter has already spent in custody. Meanwhile, the defense is asking for a drastically lighter sentence, 1 day in jail followed by 3 years of probation. Butter's intoxication is a key factor in the sentencing decision. Last month, the judge ruled there isn't enough evidence to prove Butter voluntarily took magic mushrooms. Victim impact statements painted a picture of Pohl as a kind and reliable friend. Court heard Pohl was from Germany and worked at a local restaurant as a chef. Co-workers who quickly became friends with Pohl said they knew something was wrong when he didn't show up to work. One friend described the painful task of calling Pohl's family in Germany to break the news. His father, who has been watching court proceedings from Germany, said losing his son has left an unimaginable hole in his heart. The judge is scheduled to deliver her sentencing decision next month. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
One person was taken to hospital following a dramatic crash along 20th Street West this morning. This was the scene near Avenue C South. Police say a car and a truck collided at about 2 o'clock. As you can see, the impact of the crash pushed the car onto the sidewalk and up against a business. Police say the truck left the scene. It was later found abandoned. The driver of the car was taken to hospital with minor injuries. An inquest into the death of a man who was shot by Saskatoon police in the Mayfair neighborhood almost 2.5 years ago is scheduled for next month. 36-year-old Ronald Herman of La Loche was shot and killed after a tense situation that unfolded at a home in the 1300 block of Avenue E North on October 27, 2022. Police surrounded the house after they were told someone had a gun inside. At the time, Saskatoon police said when members of the tactical support unit tried to get into the residence, they were confronted by Herman, who was then shot. He was taken to RUH where he was pronounced dead. Ronald Herman is the same person who was shot by police in Saskatoon earlier that year on Avenue U and 22nd Street West after an encounter with officers. The inquest into his death is scheduled for July 21st to 25th at Court of King's Bench in Saskatoon. A handful of police officers testified at the inquest into the death of a 26-year-old Moose Jaw man shot by police in 2022. Sierra D'Souza Butts with more on what was an emotional day.
On day 2 of a coroner's inquest into the fatal police shooting of a Moose Jaw man, the jury heard from 6 police officers who shared their insight on events leading up to the death of Ryan Booker. Booker died in July 2022 after police responded to reports of a man with a gun in a Moose Jaw parking lot. The first witness from the Moose Jaw Police Service told the jury Booker failed to comply, removing his keys from the vehicle, leading Booker to flee onto Highway 1 near Belle Plaine. It was around 3 a.m. when Booker pulled over to the side of the highway while on the phone with Staff Sergeant Kevin Pillsworth, the primary negotiator at the time of the incident. Pillsworth told jury members Booker having a firearm was the biggest hurdle, giving negotiators less options when talking him down. He said he has no suggestions to make to prevent similar situations, as he believes Booker was closure motivated, meaning his mind was already made up, as officers Others at the time believed he was prepared to harm himself. After a 6-hour standoff with officers, a shot was fired at Booker. When police cleared the vehicle, one witness told the jury he found the long rifle Booker was carrying to be unloaded. Police testimony was difficult for Booker's family members in the room to hear. 3 more witnesses are scheduled to appear at the inquest this week before wrapping up by Friday. The jury can then offer a cause of death and provide recommendations to prevent similar deaths from occurring in the future. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
The province is restarting its Healthy Beaches program for the summer. Water sampling began yesterday with results to be shared later this week. The Ministry of Health will be updating the Healthy Beaches public map online with information from lakes around the province to make sure the water quality meets Canadian guidelines. Residents are also reminded to report any concerns to their local public health office. Still to come, Donald Trump on the truce in the Middle East, the latest on the efforts to keep a ceasefire in effect, and keeping Terry Fox's legacy alive. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. The U.S. president says the Israel-Iran ceasefire he arranged is back in effect. After a shaky start, the truce seems to be holding after a furious Donald Trump lashed out at both countries, using some colorful language to make his point. With more from Washington, here is CTV's Joy Melvin.
After brokering a fragile ceasefire, the U.S. president visibly angry and let the F word fly.
We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Sending a message to warring nations, Israel and Iran, to knock it off.
I think they both violated it. I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it.
After agreeing to Donald Trump's ceasefire overnight, the Israeli army struck hard at Iranian government targets, including a radar site north of Tehran. And Israel says it struck back, too, after Iranian missiles had been fired in the south, killing 4 Israelis. The president trying to hold this truce together, telling reporters he was firm, demanding Israel's prime minister bring back its planes and stop the bombing.
Tired of it. I think they don't want it to happen again. And Iran's not going to have a nuclear weapon, by the way. I think it's the last thing on their mind right now.
After the U.S. bombed 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities deep underground and days of Israeli strikes on nuclear targets, Iran has been weakened. But how far has Tehran nuclear ambitions been set back?
Is there any highly enriched uranium left? And are there any of these centrifuges left as well? That's a big question.
And an early U.S. intelligence report suggests that America's bunker-busting bombs may not have destroyed Iran's nuclear sites. This is at odds with the president, who insists they were completely obliterated. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
Meanwhile, more than 100 Canadians are scheduled to leave Jordan tonight on a government-chartered flight. It is part of ongoing efforts to assist those who want to flee the fighting in the region.
As of today, we have helped over 500 Canadians in the region. We've deployed additional consular services throughout the region.
Canada is also helping allied nations get their citizens out of the Middle East, but the number of foreign nationals asking for help is minimal compared to the number of Canadians. There's also ground transportation available to help get Canadians out of Israel to a neighboring country. And Global Affairs has deployed more consular assistance to the region. Prime Minister Mark Carney arrived in the Netherlands today ahead of the NATO Leaders Summit, where the conflict in the Middle East and Russia's invasion of Ukraine will be at the top of the agenda. Canada will also face calls to commit to a new spending target just weeks after reaching the current level. CTV's Jeremy Charon is in The Hague and has the latest.
An historic NATO summit now underway in the Netherlands. Prime Minister Mark Carney joining all 32 alliance members in The Hague.
Thank you personally for your
meeting with many today for bilateral meetings.
handshake. Okay, very good.
The summit set to focus on a new defense investment plan aimed at increasing NATO's collective readiness.
And it's important to be clear what we are potentially, and I think likely to all agree tomorrow, which is, and let's take the 5% of GDP figure, which is a big, big number.
That figure would become the new baseline defense spending target. 3.5% would be core defense spending and another 1.5% on defense-related infrastructure investments. The increase would cost Canada tens of billions more a year.
How much is it actually for you?
5% of our GDP would be about $150 billion.
I mean, that's a lot.
It's a lot of numbers.
Per year?
Per year.
But a timeline to get to it is the next big question. And Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister says it will be an important part of the conversation.
And one of the dates that is being proposed is 2029. And we like to see steps along the way where there can be a re-examination of whether this is the right approach.
But Canada arrives at the summit having only just committed to meet the current 2% target this fiscal year. And some suggest Carney's government has work to do to re-establish Canada's reputation on the issue.
Canada's credibility collectively and the Canadian reputation that Mr. Carney inherited when he became Prime Minister is far from great on this issue.
An official decision on increasing the alliance's defense spending commitment will come tomorrow, when all 32 member nations sit down for the summit's main meeting, where support for Ukraine is on the agenda too. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, The Hague.
Alberta NDP leader Naheed Nenshi has won a seat in the legislature in one of 3 provincial by-elections.
I would like to introduce to you the MLA for Edmonton Strathcona, our leader, Naheed Nenshi.
Nenshi easily won the riding of Edmonton Strathcona, previously held by former NDP leader Rachel Notley. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith congratulated Nenshi on his victory, saying that she looked forward to constructive debate and working to advance the province's interests. The NDP won one other by-election. The UPC won the third. Nenshi previously served as mayor of Calgary. A Brampton, Ontario man is facing charges after a border bust where police seized drugs worth more than $23 million. The Canada Border Services Agency says it found 187 kilograms of cocaine hidden inside a commercial truck entering Canada from the U.S. through the Blue Water Bridge crossing in Sarnia, Ontario. The suspect has been charged with importing cocaine and possession of cocaine for the purpose of trafficking. 45 years after Terry Fox was forced to end his Marathon of Hope, his brother and a team of riders made it to that stop in Thunder Bay, Ontario.
It is overwhelming, as I said in my words. You know, this location has been on my mind for more than a couple of days, a couple of weeks. I knew I was going to get to this point, and I knew that it would be extremely emotional, and it has been. It's been more than that. I'm an emotional person.
Daryl Fox and the Ride of Hope purposely started in BC and went the opposite direction as his brother's Marathon of Hope. Terry's cancer had taken his leg and it spread to his lungs, and that's why he was forced to end his journey in Ontario. In his honor, Daryl Fox and his team are raising money for cancer research. They'll end their trek in St. John's, Newfoundland sometime around July 10th. That's where Terry started his journey. Very powerful journey as we go, Jeff. All right, weather-wise, I don't know if we're getting any powerful storms, but definitely some unsettled weather.
There's certainly some storms. You're right. Are they going to be powerful? Well, they could be significant in terms of the amount of rain they give us. It all depends on where you're at. But let's take a look at our numbers. First of all, we'll talk about the forecast in just a little bit. Currently, it is 17 degrees right across the board. So if you bet on 17, you're a winner. All right, not particularly windy in all 3 locations. Well, a bit breezier in the Battlefords, but Saskatoon, the Prince Albert area, wind speeds around 10 kilometers an hour, so not particularly strong. Taking a look at our numbers for the daytime high, just 15 degrees, so significantly lower than our seasonal average of 23, but don't worry, we are warming up. 40 degrees is the record temperature on the 24th of June, still standing from, once again, 1941 as it was yesterday from that same year. Yesterday it was 39 today. The record that stands is 40 degrees. -1 the record cold temperature from that chilly year of 1893. The sun came came up at 446. It's going to go down at 932.
Well, still to come, an Ontario couple has a special delivery. We meet a record-breaking baby.
All right, welcome back. Just a few clouds out there right now. Taking a look through live lens of Skycam, and a lovely shot of Saskatoon. And anyhow, well, we've got ourselves some quiet conditions today. And tomorrow, then things will start to change. Let's take a look at what we've got going on with the satellite and radar shot here. So really not a lot going on. We are not so much talking about this system moving through British Columbia into Alberta. There's another system that's going to be making its way on that same path, and that's what's really going to impact us as we head towards Thursday and Friday. But more on that later. And of course, it's wicked hot and humid out in Ontario and Quebec, and that heat will eventually make its way to the Maritimes. Maybe not quite as humid, but still quite warm. 17 degrees in Saskatoon, Prince Albert, and the Battleford. Just to recap those temperatures. Onto our hot spot. That was Coronach at 24 degrees. Loon Lake, the cold spot, at 0 degrees. Around the province we go. 17 degrees in Lloydminster and Yorkton, 20 in Swift Current, 19 in Regina, 23 in Estevan. Into central parts of our province, temperatures ranging from 14 degrees in Wynyard up to 18 in actually up to 19 in Meadow Lake, but many locations at 17 or 18 degrees. Triple that for Melfort, Hudson Bay, and Watrous in at 16 degrees. Up north, temperatures don't change all that much. Temperatures range from 15 degrees in South End up to 21 on this part of our map. It's 19 in both Buffalo Narrows and La Ronge. And down south, 24 degrees in Maple Creek and Coronach, and the coolest it gets on this part of our map is 17 degrees, and that's basically in a line from Outlook through to Melville, including Last Mountain Regional Park. All right, here we go with our futurecast. So the computer modeling indicating that, yes, those pressure lines are getting a little closer as we head into tomorrow afternoon, so we're expecting a windy day in the afternoon. And then you can certainly see that line of sort of, you know, pop-up storms, but some of them have some red involved, and so, of course, that means the potential for some thunderstorm activity. So, again, it's certainly a possibility, but it'll be scattered in nature. Cloudy or mainly cloudy skies with temperatures in the low to mid-20s for northern Saskatchewan tomorrow. 24 degrees for a high in Meadow Lake and Spiritwood. Warmer than that in Kindersley and Rosetown. 28 for Kindersley, Rosetown, 26 for a high. And even a little bit warmer than that in the southwest. Temperatures hanging around that 28-degree mark. Outlook comes with a chance of showers and a risk of a thunderstorm. A mix of sky conditions, actually, for the southeast, with temperatures around 24 degrees for Yorkton and Estevan, 26 in Regina, 27 in Moose Jaw, and a similar temperature pattern for east central Saskatchewan. Watrous expected to hit 27 degrees tomorrow, but it does come with a chance of a shower and a risk of a thunderstorm. The Battlefords are expected to drop down to 7 degrees tonight, warming up to 24, so slightly above seasonal numbers for the Battlefords, and then 25 on Thursday. Friday and Saturday, some unsettled conditions with temperatures cooling off a little bit, just 20 degrees on Saturday for a high. Sunday, 24, and then warming up to 28 degrees for Canada Day with mainly cloudy skies. Prince Albert's overnight temperatures are expected to be 6 degrees, 26 tomorrow for a daytime high. And then on Thursday, mainly cloudy and 27, and then an unsettled triple set of days there, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Chance of showers each day and a risk of thunderstorm to go with it. 27 on Monday and 28 on Canada Day with mainly sunny skies. And Saskatoon's overnight temperature, 8 degrees with clear skies. The winds really pick up tomorrow afternoon around 3 o'clock. 27 degrees for a high on a Wednesday. Then 28 on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, a little unsettled, a 60% chance of showers and a risk of a thunderstorm on both days. Sunday, 24, getting up to 28 for Canada Day with mainly sunny skies. Well, that's a cover tune, but former 70s TV star and singer Bobby Sherman has died. His wife announced his death in an Instagram post today. In March, his wife also posted about the entertainer having been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Sherman rose to fame as a regular on the popular 70s show Here Come the Brides. He had 4 top 10 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. His pop songs beloved by preteen girls, making him one of the biggest teen idols in the 1960s and 70s. Besides his wife, Sherman is survived by 2 sons and 6 grandchildren. He was 81 years old. These tickets are going to go fast. Country music legend Dolly Parton is taking 7 decades of hits back to Las Vegas. Parton will take to the stage at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace December 4th through the 13th during the National Finals Rodeo. It will be Parton's first extended run of shows in Las Vegas in 32 years. Beyonce had quite the surprise in store for her Paris show this weekend. The pop star brought out her husband, Jay-Z, on her Cowboy Carter tour. They performed songs like Crazy in Love, Drunk in Love, and Partition. And this is the first time the couple has reunited on stage in 7 years. The last time was during the On the Run 2 tour in 2018.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day. What do you have?
All right, well, let's start off with this one. We've got ourselves some nice shots here. Yes, this one comes to us from Marcia. This is nice Nice Beach. No. Yeah, Nice. Yeah, it's Nice Beach, or some people say Nice's Beach at MLA. Peaceful calm after the storm. A beautiful shot there of Nice's Beach there. Carol sends us this one, and this is the Holy Cross High School class of 75. This was their 50-year reunion held just last week, and in keeping with that same photo, let's show this one. All right, two back-to-back pictures. Yeah, I popped by Holy Cross on Saturday to see this band, Jack Flash. This is what they looked like back in 1977. And full disclosure, these are friends of mine. Here's what they look like now. There you go. They can still rock, but I did not know them, but long before I did, they were rocking out all over these places, and they played a high school dance instead in my hometown, so they did a great job on Saturday night. So congratulations to Jack Flash. They had a reunion as well. If you'd like to send us a picture, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca.
Well, still to come, a baby for the record books. We meet the boy that was a big bundle of joy for his parents. It was a delivery that left doctors in Ontario doing a double take and broke hospital records. A baby named Grayson had a big entrance into the world a year ago, tipping the scales at a whopping 15 pounds. And just ahead of his first birthday, CTV's Luke Simard caught up with the family of the biggest baby born in Orillia, Ontario.
Daddy messed it up.
Meet Grayson, a soon-to-be one-year-old baby. When Grayson was born, he weighed a staggering 15 pounds and 10 ounces, a weight not seen before at Orillia Soldiers Memorial Hospital, making a case for the largest baby ever born in Ontario.
He was 24.5 inches long, and his head was 42.5 centimeters, I believe.
Correct.
I did have a planned C-section for that day, so we left here bright and early, I believe 4 o'clock in the morning, I think it was.
With a baby born of that size, there came challenges, especially after birth.
He was wearing a size 3 diaper, which isn't very common for a newborn baby, but the hospital was very good with, getting their hands on the resources that we needed.
When Orillia Soldiers Memorial Hospital went to register Grayson's weight, they ran into a unique situation.
When Grayson was born, the team went to enter his weight into the Ontario registry, and we were surprised to find out that his weight exceeded the upper limit. We had to actually call the Ontario registry, and they had to manually update it on their end, which was a first for us.
Grayson would wear clothing for a 6-month-old baby right after birth, but his growth has now slowed down, looking and acting as an 11-month-old baby should. The family sharing their story in hopes of encouraging families to trust the process of your pregnancy if having a larger baby.
There were challenges and obstacles with Grayson at the beginning, and lots of unknowns, even from, healthcare professionals and everything, but we got through it all, and I mean, he's thriving. He's doing amazing.
According to Born Ontario, Grayson's birth weight of 15 pounds and 10 ounces would put him in the top 0.01 percentile of weight when it comes to babies being born. Grayson, a happy and healthy baby, will be turning 1 on July 4th. Luke Simard, CTV News, Orillia.
When we come back, the Blades get ready for the upcoming season. And later, the beach bot ready to sift through the sand.
All righty, let's take a look and see what we've got going on tomorrow. Well, tomorrow temperatures are warmer than they have been, but with that increased warmth, some places we saw it on the computer modeling, some places run the risk of having a shower or a thunderstorm tomorrow, so that includes Watrous and Outlook, but otherwise we're looking at cloudy or mainly cloudy conditions. Temperatures generally around 24 degrees as we make our way north of the Yellowhead, but Watrous at 27, the same for Outlook, 28 in Kindersley, and then down south things do warm up a little bit more, close to 30 degrees in Leader and Maple Creek, 26 in East End, 26 as well for Rock Glen and Pilot Butte. A couple of places with 27, but closer to the Manitoba border, temperatures hanging around 23 degrees, and so a little warmer than that as we make our way towards Langenburg, although very close to the Manitoba border, so 25 might be a bit on the optimistic side. Winds out of the south at 20 and partly cloudy skies for Langenburg. And Langenburg is where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
Greetings, everyone. The legacy of a Michif language keeper is being remembered through a Canadian Post stamp. Born in St. Louis, Saskatchewan, Sophie McDougall spent a lifetime sharing the Métis language and culture with generations of learners in the province. Jasmine Pelche tells us more about the stamp itself and the woman it represents.
A Métis elder and Michif language keeper from Saskatchewan is being commemorated with a Canada Post stamp.
She kept us all together. She taught us so many things. It's hard to believe that she's being honored today, but she's well deserved of it. She worked hard all her life.
Sophie McDougall, who passed away in 2023, was a teacher from St. Louis, dedicating her life to sharing her knowledge of cultures and language with others.
I worked alongside with my mom translating books and stuff, so I know how to speak it. I understand it, but I don't speak it as well as she did.
McDougall was an elder with the Prince Albert Métis Women's Association for 20 years and translated books and written materials into Michif while engaging in other projects to preserve the language, which is endangered.
Working with Sophie was such an honor. She took immense pride in these books, which were beautifully illustrated by local youth, and she was proud to share them with young people throughout Prince Albert and beyond.
The stamp was issued June 20th, along with 2 other stamps honoring Indigenous leaders.
These honorees are widely loved, respected, and admired in their communities across the country. The Métis National Council selected Sophie for the latest stamp, and Canada Post is honored to tell her story.
We all agree she was a woman of strength, she was a woman of wisdom, and she was a woman to be remembered. Her legacy lives on through her family, and her contributions to our language preservation will continue to inspire future generations.
For Indigenous Circle, I'm Jasmine Pelche.
If you have a story you would like to see in this segment, here's how to reach us. You can contact me by email, and you can also watch past episodes and segments of Indigenous Circle on our CTV Regina and CTV Saskatoon websites.
Indigenous Circle, brought to you in part by Saskatchewan Indigenous Enterprise Foundation, growing the First Nation entrepreneurial spirit.
The Western Hockey League has released its 2025-26 regular season schedule of 782 games, and fans won't have to wait until Christmas for the Highway 11 rivalry to heat up. The regular season kicks off with a home-and-home weekend between the Blades and Raiders September 19th and 20th, beginning at the Art Hauser Center on the Friday night. The Blades will go on their U.S. road swing in late October, with the Raiders' U.S. trip in early November. The trade deadline is Thursday, January 8th. The regular season will end the same way it began, with the Blades and Raiders facing off in Prince Albert Friday, March 20th, and in Saskatoon, March 21st. Almost 3/4 of all games league-wide will occur on a weekend. The Riders' return specialist Marielle Alford came through last week when it mattered most with a walk-off kick return touchdown. Jacob Carr on why the on-field success has extra significance this season.
To the 30, to the 40, he's got something to the 50. Come on races! No one's gonna touch him!
Rider
Nation is no stranger to a spectacular return touchdown by Mario Alford, but last week's 99-yard kickoff return touchdown to seal a win against the Argos was his most clutch to date as a member of the Green and White.
Once I got through the hole, I set up my blockers and I just saw like green. I said, oh, I'm gone. And I just knew it then.
Many pundits and fans were unsure if Alford had lost a step going into his age 33 season, but he has been putting those doubts to rest.
I don't pay that no attention. I don't pay the noise, the media. I don't even read that stuff. So I didn't even know that was being said. I had people coming telling me about it, but again, I know it. I know what type of player I am. I know what I can do. Been doing it for a long time.
Over a decade, in fact. Alford has been popping long return touchdowns since his days as a West Virginia Mountaineer back in 2014.
Alford is loose. Look out. Alford past midfield. The race is on. Alford will take it all the way.
Fast forward to 2025, and the Riders are happy to have him on their side. Head coach Corey May says the return team was due to take one all the way back.
I think our kickoff return team has been outstanding this entire year, and it was only a matter of time. So again, like I've been saying, I'm just so happy for those guys because they worked their tails off.
When recalling the play, Alford mentioned that the touchdown was almost stymied by teammate Lake Corte Moore.
Yeah, he was kind of staggered. He didn't have no one to block, so he was just in the way. So I pushed him out the way, and I just went up the sideline. Yes, sir.
Alford's next chance to steal the show will be this Saturday against the BC Lions. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
It's a message of stay the course for now from the chair of the U.S. Federal Reserve. He spoke at a committee meeting today in Washington. Morella Fernandez reports.
The chair of the U.S. Federal Reserve says he's in no rush to lower interest rates despite the pressure from the American president. Jerome Powell spoke to lawmakers today. He repeated his intention to wait for the impact of tariffs before adjusting the lending rate. Donald Trump has routinely ridiculed Powell for not lowering rates. Only last week, the Federal Reserve left the rates unchanged. The Bank of Canada's next rate announcement will be at the end of July. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is up a fraction to $72.85. West Texas Intermediate is down more than $4 to $64.37. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it down more than $4.50 to $57.24. And the TSX is up more than 100 points, hitting another record close at 26,718. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon is currently just under $1.35 a liter. The lowest price in town is $1.26.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco finished the day today at $99.30 and Nutrient dropped to $1.30. Coming up next, why London has tunnel vision. Then sifting through the sand to make beaches better.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Get comfortable and settle in with these top shows all right here tonight on CTV. Well, people visiting London can look forward to heading underground. We're talking about a secret network of tunnels built during the Second World War. The city has approved plans to turn the tunnels into a tourist attraction. Spots to visit will include a museum, a memorial, and one of the world's deepest underground bars. Huzzah! London hopes to have the tunnels ready by 2028, so you can plan your travels. That's not far away.
No, that is really cool. So, I guess they weren't bomb shelter tunnels. They were something else. So I guess because they're a secret. But that's very interesting. Yeah. You can take a lot of really cool historical tours in London. And they're not necessarily old time, but a lot of Second World War ones.
There you go. You can add that to the list. Well. All right. Canada's first ever beach cleaning robot has been introduced in Ontario. VBot made its debut on the shores of Lake Simcoe. The fully electronic machine cleans sand and rakes seaweed up to 30 times faster than humans. It's part of a project to remove plastic debris from lakes across North America.
Right on. That was a big hit for Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, no. Are you going to sing it, or are you just going to?
No, no one's going to sing that. No, exactly. So I don't know why it struck me funny. Yeah, exactly. Tomorrow, quiet conditions yet again, and temperatures warming up here in Saskatoon, but it'll be quiet until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's when the winds really start to pick up, so we'll probably hear some howling winds down the back alley here at the TV station.
Definitely. All right. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye now.